Hello, this is John Paval with Access Arts Live. It's time, Tuesday, June 17th, for the weekly roundup of organ recitals and organ concert live streams for the week of June 16th to June 23rd. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and everybody else, we have so much to tell you about going on this week. We've got jokes on the organ, we've got German romantics, we've got Buxtehude, we've got French classics, and everything in between. It's going to be a great week for those of you who are organ lovers. And I can't wait to get to telling you all about them. But first, let me remind you, if you're watching this on Facebook, please like the video. If you're watching this on any of our other platforms, please subscribe to and or follow Access Arts Live on YouTube, X, TikTok, Instagram, Threads, and or LinkedIn, or all of them, or whichever one of them is the one where you find us and follow us. Let me give you a quick overview of the various organists that will be playing for you in live streams this week, all of them free of charge, even though for a number of them, like the Methuen Memorial Music Hall live stream, people are paying money in order to get in to see them. The same thing with the ones in Tomsk sometimes. So, or at the Roman Catholic Cathedral in Moscow. And you get them offered to you just free of charge, which I think is terrific. So let's start going through them one at a time. And I can turn you on to some of the individual ones. I'm going to tell you about the organist. I'm going to tell you about their program if we have it, and tell you a little bit about the organ itself when I have that information as well. And we start out already today. So you want to know about this. This will be in about 2.5 hours time, I think. Tuesday, June 17th, St. James Cathedral, Toronto, hosts Stéphanie Gouin from Grace Church on the Hill down the road in Toronto for its weekly organ recital live stream at 1 o'clock, of course, Toronto time. That'll be 7 o'clock in the evening here in Europe, which is about 2.5 hours time from now. It's 4:30 in Europe as I'm live streaming. Or 10 o'clock in the morning on the West Coast in the US. Who is Stéphanie Gouin? Or Gouin, actually, is how that'd be pronounced in French. And I'm sure it's a French name because her name has an accent on the E in Stéphanie. She's got a DMA in solo piano performance, an advanced certificate in performance from the University of Toronto just a year ago. She was the choir organist at the Horizon University Chapel for about 3 years, from 2020 until 2023, does a lot of work as a choir accompanist and an opera repetitor. She's very interested in collaborative forms of music. And she is also a chamber musician, performing with a duet partner, violinist Émilie Paré, in places like Nova Scotia, Quebec, and Ontario. I do not know what she's going to be playing. They never tell us at St. James Cathedral what they'll be playing. The organ has 87 ranks, 67 speaking stops, over 4 manuals and 6 divisions, 5,101 pipes. It was last rebuilt in 1976 by L.I. Phelps and Associates. So that's what we have to start off with this week. Coming to you just later today in about 2.5 hours. Then we move along to Tomsk, I think. I think we move all the way up to Siberia. Yes, we do. Wednesday. And Wednesday, there's a lineup of 4 or 5 live streams. So you're going to have some choices to make when it comes down to it. But the first of the live streams is relatively early in the day because it starts in the evening out in Siberia. The Tomsk Philharmonic's resident organist, Maria Blazevic, thinks you can play jokes on the organ. And she's going to do so Wednesday, June 18th, with works by Bach, Vivaldi, Gordoni, Saint-Saëns, Guy Beauvais, and others. That'll be at 1 o'clock European time, which is 9 o'clock in the evening out there in Siberia, 7 in the morning on the East Coast, 4 o'clock in the morning on the West Coast. But 9 p.m. down under in Australia, and 7 o'clock in the evening in Siberia. I got that wrong. They'll be playing some works to give you an idea of what they mean by musical work. They're doing some pieces by Guy Beauvais, who's a Swiss organist and composer, and he has one piece called the Hamburg Dance of Death, and towards the end of it, you can hear motifs from Bizet's Carmen. You can also, that's in the finale of this piece called Salamanca. I'm sorry, my notes are a little sketchy here. And then he has another piece called Hamburg Dance of Death, and in there you can hear themes from Offenbach's Barcarolle, from Beethoven's Für Elise, and the leitmotif from Wagner's Flying Dutchman. So that's what she thinks is a joke. And she's going to play the piece on the elephant from Saint-Saëns' Carnival of the Animals and things like that. And she ends up with a Bach suite in jazz style. So it should be, if any organ concert is going to be fun, that one will be. Then as we move along, next we're going to get more serious here, folks, with Paul Walton, who's a serious guy. Organist Paul Walton from Bristol Cathedral and Bristol University must really like Bach a lot, because that's all he's playing Wednesday, June 18th, at the Queen's College, Oxford live stream at 2:10 in the afternoon European time. That'll be at 8:10 in the morning on the East Coast, 5:10 on the West Coast, and 11:10 p.m. down under in Australia. He'll be playing Bach's Fantasy and Fugue in C minor, and then Wie soll ich fliehen hin? And then the Trio Sonata number 1 in E flat major, a toccata in E major, and Wenn wir in höchsten Nöten sein, when we are in the greatest need. All of that by Bach. We're told he started out as a choir boy at Holy Trinity Church in Stratford-on-Avon, which was Shakespeare's church. He's, for the last 25 years, he's been the assistant organist at Bristol Cathedral, where he also accompanies and works with the choir and directs the cathedral consort. And in those times, he has given, he tells us, 96 recitals at the cathedral and other venues in Bristol without ever repeating the same piece of music. He's played around in a lot of other places there. He got a number of CD recordings out. He's also a composer and arranger. So this is an expert. This is an expert organist. As I said, this is a serious guy. The organ is a Frobenius organ. The college is very proud of it. We will give you the link to their video in which, to their the page in which they talk about what a great organ it is. It was built in the 1960s as part of a revival of organ culture in England. Now, the thing is that almost contemporaneous with Paul Walton playing at Queen's College, you also have Polina Sosnina, who'll be playing at the Temple Church London. Wednesday, June 18th, Temple Church London live streams organist Polina Sosnina, the director of music at Brasenose College, Oxford, at 2:15 in the afternoon European time. That'll be 8:15 in the morning on the East Coast, at 5:15 on the West Coast, and 11:15 p.m. down under in Australia. We will give you the link to that, the organ specifications to that organ. It's a Harrison and Harrison limited organ built for a concert hall in Scotland back in the 1920s and inaugurated by the legendary organist, French organist Marcel Dupré. Then they brought it up to London in 1954. It's a 4-manual organ complete with 3 32 feet stops. So it has some bass power there. Polina is director of music at Brasenose College and also organist and director of junior choir at St. Martin in the Fields, director of the junior choir at St. Luke's in Christchurch, Chelsea, and director of the Thetford Voices. She graduated she's young, graduated in 2022 from the Royal College of Music, but she's sure on her way up. But we don't know what she's going to be playing. We know that Walton over at Queen's College in Glasgow is going to be playing all kinds of Bach. We don't know what Sosnina is going to be playing. But I guarantee you, whatever she plays, she'll be doing it very enthusiastically. If you look her up and you read more about it, you really get that impression that she's a very enthusiastic sort of chorister. Now, sometimes we have even a third at that time, if we don't. Now, from here, we go to Moscow. A little later in the day with this charming couple. The organ duet Anna Vetlugina and Dmitry Maximenko are back playing a program about spiritual journeys with medieval European and Russian music, accompanied by vocals, viella, harpsichord, and hurdy-gurdy, Wednesday, June 18th. This is an early music concert as much as it is an organ concert, and we'll probably put a separate clip about it up for the early music people. These two, Anna Vetlugina is one of the resident organists at the Catholic Cathedral in Moscow, and Dmitry Maximenko is the resident organist at, I think it's the Church of St. Andrew, it's the Anglican Cathedral in Moscow, and they have played concerts together before. And well, just look how charming they look. They'll also have a soprano, Ekaterina Liberova, and Daria Maglevanaya playing the viella. And Anna Vetlugina is not only going to play the organ, she'll also play the hurdy-gurdy and the harpsichord. So it's a very complex concert that they're playing here. Now, if you want to know what a viella is, well, I just happen to have a photo of a viella that I can show you. This is a viella. It's an early music instrument. And I am not certain if it's played with a bow or with strings, but my guess would be that it's played with a bow because the strings are so far apart from each other. Anyway, to give you an idea of some of the pieces they're playing a piece by Everett Titcomb, a Rhapsody on Gregorian themes. They're playing various pieces that are from the London manuscript, Lamento Tristan, Saltarello No. 3, then an Ave Maria from the Faenza Codex. So this is it's a very spiritual concert. And early music mixed in. And there's one more concert still on Wednesday. So the hits just keep on coming. And this one is in Massachusetts. It takes us back to the U.S. and it takes us to the Methuen Memorial Music Hall. Wednesday evening, June 18th, the Methuen Memorial Summer Concert Series live streams William Ness, longtime organist at the First Baptist Church in Worcester, Massachusetts, playing a host of works by German romantics like Riemann, Schumann, Thiel, and more. That'll be at 7:30 in the evening, Eastern Daylight Time, 4:30 in the afternoon on the West Coast, 1:30 in the morning in Europe, and 9:30 in the morning, Thursday morning, down under in Australia. And what I'm wondering is why I don't seem to have a picture of William Ness, and I do have a picture of William Ness. Let me pull that up for you. He's an older guy. He is he's the music director emeritus at that First Baptist Church in Massachusetts, and he was where he retired back in 2015 after like 20 years of service, but then he was also a minister of music at the Atlantic Union College for a long time before that. And he's also been the director of music at the Wesley United Methodist Church in Worcester. So, and he's done a lot of accompanying of choirs and taking them all over the U.S. He'll be doing pieces like Ryman's Fantasy on the chorale. Wie schön leuchtet der Morgenstern. How beautifully shines the morgen star. Schumann studies for pedals. Johann Thiel's Konzertsatz number 3. Some Mendelssohn, some Reinberger, and a Max Reger fantasy on the chorale. Hallelujah, Gott zu loben, God be praised. So that's what he'll be playing. That Methuen organ is an Aeolian Skinner organ, Opus 1103, built in 1947, but it was re-regulated in the last 4 years, they tell us, under the direction of Frederick A. MacArthur. 4 manuals, 5 divisions, 86 stops, 116 ranks, and 6,088 pipes. That's right. You heard that right, 6,088 pipes. So that is an honorable organ that you're going to hear if you tune in to hear William Ness. And he's a very expert, experienced organist. So that's what you have on Wednesday. That's a load of organ recitals from Queen's College in Glasgow, from Temple Church, London, from the Catholic Cathedral in Moscow, and then from the Methuen Music Hall in Massachusetts. Enjoy those if you're a real organ enthusiast. We're not done though. Thursday, there's more. Let me get this guy's picture up for you. Harry Van Wijk. If that's the right way to pronounce it, I'm not always sure. Thursday, June 19th, Truro Cathedral welcomes to its live stream Harry Van Wijk from the Netherlands, who will play a program mixing film music with French favorites. That'll be at 2:10 in the afternoon. That's such a favorite time, that 1 o'clock in the UK time. 8:10 in the morning on the East Coast, 5:10 on the West Coast, and 11:10 p.m. down under in Australia. It's an interesting set of pieces because he's playing things like music, Hans Zimmer's music from the Pirates of the Caribbean, and some other pieces by Zimmer, and then he's playing music from Schindler's List, transcribed by himself. And then he plays several pieces by Debussy's Clair de Lune, Fauré's Sicilienne, and he'll finish up with a fanfare by Whitlock. Sorry about that. Who is Harry Van Wijk? It was hard to find it out because most of his bios just say, well, he works as an organist in the Netherlands. They don't tell you where. He's the cantor organist of the Oude Helleniskerk in Walton, Netherlands. And he's, since 2024, he's also the organist at the Music Center in Enschede in the Netherlands. But he likes to mix in film music, synthesizer music, or do concerts with a narrator and all of that. So this should be a fun concert. It's a Father Willis organ. We give you the link to the description of the organ on the Truro Cathedral page. What they do tell us that stands out is it bears, quote unquote, the standard Willis hallmarks: tierce mixtures on grades and swell, characterful gadacts on the choir, and a small but telling pedal division. So there you have it. If you're a real organ lover, and that's that picture of Paul Van Wijk for you there to savor until I replace him next with Marina Omelchenko's picture, taking us back to Moscow, the Roman Catholic Cathedral again. Friday, June 20th, resident organist Marina Omelchenko leads the program with vocals, violin, and harp music by Vivaldi, Handel, Mascagni, and others related to the Ave Maria. That's at the Roman Catholic Cathedral in Moscow. 8 o'clock in the evening European time, 2 o'clock on the East Coast, 11 in the morning on the West Coast, 9 o'clock in the evening in Moscow. It's on the Artbene YouTube channel. We'll give you the link to that. This is, it's all about Ave Marias, but it also included in that is a caprice by Paganini played on as a violin solo, and the arrival of the Queen of Sheba from Handel's oratorio Solomon. And I'm not sure how that fits in. They include Mascagni's Ave Maria, which I'm sure you've heard of. It's to the tune of that intermezzo. La di da 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 dee 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 dee. And it also has the Piazzolla's Ave Maria, which you may not know as well. It goes like this: Ave Maria, amoris tui sit in sum Ave. And it just goes on like that. It's absolutely exquisite piece, which I have sung in recitals in the past, and people really love it. And I think you'll love it too if you tune in and enjoy it. So if you're into Ave Marias, again, this is kind of a spiritual concert, which seems to be the theme of today. So that's on Friday evening. And then later in the day, Friday evening, is the usual weekly live stream. Friday, June 20th, St. Paul's Episcopal Cathedral live streams the articulate and engaging Canon Martin Green, playing the organ with the longest history in the San Diego region. That's at 1 o'clock on the West Coast, 4 o'clock on the East Coast, in the afternoon, that is, and then 10 o'clock in the evening, Friday evening here in Europe, if you've got nothing going, if you're sitting at home. That's an Aeolian Skinner organ, Opus 1495 from 1969, but completely rebuilt by Quimby Pipe Organs, Opus 68 in 2012. We never know what he's going to be playing, but it's always an interesting selection from him, and he always gives really understandable musicological explanations of what he's playing and why. So my hats off to him. It's always it's not, there'll be maybe 15 people in this huge cathedral there, but you can tune into it from anywhere in the world and enjoy it, and it's certainly worth he's certainly worth listening to. And now we're coming down to the weekend, and we only have a few more of these live streams to tell you about. Next up is a organist that we haven't heard from as often. Most of these organists I've been telling you about, you've heard them before in live streams, and we've told you about them. Moscow Conservatory professor Ekaterina Spirkina invites along two violinists to play summertime music from Italy, Saturday, June 19th, on the Artbene YouTube channel. Works by Vivaldi, Locatelli, Tartini, Chrysler, Pugnani, and Vitali. I don't know much more about Ekaterina Spirkina than that she teaches at the Moscow Conservatory, but she must know what she's doing. If she's doing that, she'll be playing things like The Spring from the Four Seasons by Vivaldi, arranged for two violins and organ. A couple of pieces where Fritz Chrysler took music by an Italian, one Giuseppe Tartini and another Gaetano Pugnani, and then rearranged it. And they have now rearranged it again for two violins and organ. So that's the kind of music they'll be playing. And it's not every day that you get to hear two violins and an organ, much less one violin and an organ. So you might actually enjoy that. And I think we have just two more live streams to tell you about. Yes, and the next one will be on Sunday with an old standby that we're used to telling you about. You can see just by reading the description of what he's going to be playing. Sunday, June 22nd, St. Eustache Church in Paris live streams resident organist Thomas Hospital playing Bach Saint-Saëns and Guridi on the magnificent Van den Heuvel organ, one of the largest organs in France. That's the usual time of 5 o'clock in the afternoon in Europe, 11 o'clock in the morning on the East Coast, and Sunday, 8 a.m. in the morning on the West Coast. He'll be playing Bach Chaconne, BWV 1004 in the transcription by Henri Messerer. He'll be playing Camille Saint-Saëns' Première Fantaisie, which means the first fantasy, and then a piece by Jesus Guridi, whom I'm assuming is Spanish, variations on a song. Variaciones sobre un canto vasco. He's, Thomas Hospital is just an expert organist. If you go to our YouTube page, I have a 35-minute interview that I did with Thomas, in which he goes into detail about the organ, the Van den Heuvel organ, which has 101 stops, 7,952 pipes, and 5 manuals. And so he goes into a great deal about it. Also tells you about how the organ sound is modulated by the architecture of that church, and then compares it to a similar sized organ at the Notre Dame Cathedral and how that's modified by the size of the Notre Dame Cathedral. It's a fascinating discussion if you're expert in organs, or if you're not and you want to learn about them. I mean, that live stream, it's on our YouTube page. Look in the interview section and you'll find it. And then we have one more live stream to tell you about from another of our regulars and usual favorites here, and it takes us back out to Tomsk in Siberia. The Tomsk Philharmonic concert organist Dmitry Ushakov continues his playing of all the organ works of Buxtehude on Monday, June 23rd, in a live stream only concert of preludes and a choral fantasy. That's at 7 o'clock Siberian time, 1 o'clock in Europe, 1 o'clock in the afternoon, 7 in the morning on the East Coast, 4 o'clock in the morning on the West Coast, and 9 o'clock in the evening down under in Australia. It's a choral fantasy on a hymn called Rejoice, Beloved Christians, and then the preludes in E minor, C major, and D major. And folks, that's what we have for you this week. It's a full plate. It took me almost a half an hour to go through all of it. I hope that some or one or any of these live streams inspires you, uplifts you, or just gives you a heck of a good time. Maybe the one that's about jokes will give you a heck of a good time. I don't know. Before I go, let me remind you, if you're watching this on Facebook, please like the video. If you're watching this on any of our other platforms, please subscribe to and or follow Access Arts Live on YouTube, X, TikTok, Instagram, Threads, and or LinkedIn, and we'll continue to bring you more than 1,000 live performances online in the coming year, just as we did in the last year. With that, I'm signing off. I will be back in 1 hour's time at 6 o'clock European time, noon on the East Coast, 9 in the morning on the West Coast, with the weekly roundup of chamber music and theatrical. We have a theatrical program coming from the Kennedy Center. We've got a heavily spoken word program coming from the wild musicians and people at Composers Concordance. So tune in, come back and see me then. I'll be on live streaming on Facebook, on X, on YouTube, on LinkedIn, and maybe also on Instagram if it works